Greetings, this is Learning English with Rahul Mahashabde. This video is useful and meant for those who are appearing in a competitive exam. Alternatively, he or she may be learning vocabulary to improve language proficiency in general. They may find it very useful and informative. Keep watching the parts of this series. Give your likes and comments. Your feedback and comments would definitely raise the bar of these videos. Also suggest the topic that you wish to have. So this today we will be dealing with some of the words that we discussed in the earlier video, and this, or you may say this particular video is in continuation with the previous one, where we discussed about the word cataclysm and its various related words, and those words were disaster, catastrophe, debacle, and calamity. And so these are the various words which are closely related with the word cataclysm. One more thing that we discussed in the last video was they were all they were all misfortune, in fact, number one, and number two, they were all events. So let's look into more detail into, or more, let's discuss more about disaster, catastrophe, debacle, calamity, and cataclysm. We'll begin with the pronunciation part. Let's start learning about the first pronunciations about these words. The first is catastrophe. So it is pronounced as catastrophe, catastrophe, not as catastrophe or something else. Then second would be calamity. The third would be disastrous or disaster. It would be disaster, za. Again, the za would come, not the sa would come. And lastly is debacle. So these are the four words which we are going to deal here in this video. Next part is the definition and synonyms. Let's see what are the various synonyms and various definition of these words. The first word is disaster. Now this is a negative word. It is not a positive word. It is a negative word. The definition of this particular word says it is an event, actually, surprising or sudden or unpredictable. So disaster is not, is where you can predict out, or where you know the things. It is definitely a surprising or sudden or unpredictable event, such as, again, it has two parts. One is very bad accident. It is a bad accident or a flood of fire that kills a lot of people or causing a lot of damage. So it is again a very harmful. Now again, to repeat, disaster is a bad accident, or it could be a flood or fire that kills a lot of people, or causes a lot of damage. So it has an inherent property of damaging. It could be, the damage could be in terms of killing, or it could be in terms of loss of property. Examples are like heavy and prolonged rain can spell disaster for many plants. And number two is everything was going smoothly until suddenly disaster struck. Even if we remove suddenly, we can easily we can put even only disaster struck. And then the next word is calamity. Calamity is again negative. Is again negative. An event that causes great damage to people's lives and property. Again, you can see it is a negative word. It is not a positive word, and it is a uh, and the example would be a series of calamities ruined them, flood or failed harvest, and death of a son. Now calamity can be referred to both. I mean, the damage is done in both the senses. It is personal as well as public. So here in this particular example, you can easily observe that flood and failed harvest, floods are definitely a public calamity, whereas failed harvest and death of a son, failed harvest still can be a public, or but a death of a son, definitely it would be a personal calamity. Next is catastrophe. So it is also a negative word, a sudden event that causes many people to suffer or letting people to face difficulties. So they were warned of the ecological catastrophe to come. Here again, the focus is on to suffering. It is the suffering which matters and facing the difficulty that is coming. Next word is cataclysm. It is again negative. We already discussed a lot about it in our previous video, so I don't think there is any further need to discuss it. Even then, it is a violent or disaster event causing damage, and mostly it is related with the flood or war. Then we have debacle. A debacle is a complete failure, especially because of bad planning or organization. Now, what are the various differences here? The differences you can see: disaster is a sudden misfortune resulting in loss of lives, property, and ruinous to the subject. Subject here means the person, individual. Calamity, it is a grave misfortune. See the adjective which is coming before misfortune. It is a grave misfortune or grave or serious misfortune, bringing deep distress or sorrow to either to an individual or people at large. Then we have catastrophe, a misfortune event that has disastrous outcome. The focus is on the outcome. It is not, it is, it is the disastrous outcome or the end. It is again applied for the both personal and public misfortune. And then we have cataclysm, a social and political upheaval. It allows little personal misfortune in comparison to catastrophe. Last one is debacle, which we have already. It is not of much significance. It is a personal, actually. It could be personal as well as public. Now let's see the discussion.